Hello, hello, and welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. We're on day 4, and I do want to follow up on the lead from our friend, the tapir, but we also have Nini's lead, right, from the Colonel's estate, saying that we needed to bury the remains properly, but I don't know where that would go. You know what I mean? But he said that there was a barrier from the flooded town. But I don't know if I have to go there first to proc a thing to find a lead to go somewhere else, or if I can guess go somewhere else first, get the thing, and do. I don't know. We'll just go to the flooded town, because I am really interested on following that up. The roads were shit, and it made sense, of course. Who would want to go to a stagnant pond? But it still made for rough driving to our goal for the day. At the bottom of the valley, not too far from the salt plains, were the sunken remains of the hinterlands' first township, Skin Tapir. It had flooded some decades ago, and not too long after my grandpa's involvement with a certain incident, and there I was to pay the bill for it. The water seemed unusually clear for a stagnant sinkhole in the hinterlands. The salt seeping in from the land made sure nothing could live there, so there was no algae or anything, and unlike the pond at the actual bottom of the hinterlands, this was a polluted cesspit. There was a few buildings with their roofs barely at the surface of the water, and some distance in the some distance in was the church steep, the only thing that stuck out a good distance above the stillness. It was like being in a museum. The old town almost seemed to be frozen in the moment of its destruction. Storm and I spent a good half hour walking around the lake, planning our approach. Fortune seemed to smile upon us. We ended up borrowing an old rowboat, stuck on some reeds. We rowed towards the church's tower. The hinterlands isn't a very loud area, but there's something specifically quiet feeling about being out in a rowboat. The place was emptier than a graveyard, and thus all the more hushed. The sounds of our paddling rippled out with each heave. I'm gonna turn down the music just a little bit. That just seems a little loud. Or that's just loud in my headphones. I didn't check the volume on my computer. It is what it is. I don't pay attention to things. You all should know this. The Storm seemed to be having a little trouble getting his bearings. First time on a boat. He looked down at his hooves.
Yes, sir.
How are you finding it?
I ain't nauseous. It's fine. You need any help rowing?
Of all the things to be shy about, motion sickness.
Just look at something far away from you. Breathe deeply and slowly. If I had some snacks or ginger, it'd settle your stomach, but, well, we're out here. We're already out here. Thanks, boss.
You know anything about this place?
Just that it's sorta sunk, or got flooded, or something. I mostly just know some of my brothers hung out around here sometimes. They'll probably find a lot of beer cans floating around, some corners or another.
Nothing seemed to float our way, and the detritus littering the bottom some meters down looked as old as the buildings. But who could really tell past all the corrosion and scales? Once we're bumped into the church steeple, we circled the place and searched for the easiest way in. It looks like most of the windows were intact, but there was a a back one, which seemed to have been just left open when the place was abandoned.
The old man said I was supposed to go diving down, right?
I guess it's your time to shine, yeah.
Yup, gotta earn my pay, right?
Right. Not gonna lie, this is my family's legacy here. I'd do it myself if I could, but these tail feathers aren't just for show, you know. Liable to just get caught on something and drown myself.
Yeah.
You do know how to swim, right?
Yes, Dad. He's calling him Dad. I've gone swimming before, don't worry.
Now that fiend from the salt plains mentions someone putting up some magic to protect this place using my grandfather's feathers. If that's true, it shouldn't be too hard to dispel. I pull out an old tail feather. I dipped it in some alcohol I had brought with me, and then set it alight. A storm noticed my agony, but said nothing. May the path forward reveal itself. Oh. A storm turned away from me and started shuckling off his clothes. He prepared to leap, but I stopped him and handed over a tail feather.
What's this for?
Consider it a protective charm. Tuck it into your underwear. If anything happens, I'll dive down to get you, okay?
As if you could deal with my weight. You'll just end up drowning yourself too.
Maybe dying wouldn't be so bad.
Don't know about that. See you in a minute, boss.
He tucked my feather into his waistband, then plunged in. Seeing underwater was always so uncomfortable. The pain wasn't there, but everything felt a little streaked, like there was a semi-transparent curtain in front of me. Storm seemed like he had to really struggle against his own buoyancy to get down to the window. Once he did, darkness embraced him. There was glimmers of light, sure, but which ones could you trust and follow when you didn't have much time or air? Lord, I hope I'm not drowning the kid. He swooped around in the dark and smacked into a grimy window he thought was a door. Shit, don't tell me he cut himself on the glass. You lazy cunt. Colonial fucking bastard. Getting the backwater hick to die for you. He jiggled a knob on the other end of the dark hallway, but it didn't budge. He coughed. The bubbles shimmered. Wait, yes, shimmered. Yeah, as they crossed a ray of sunlight. A storm. No, goddammit. Shit. He began to kick at the door, grabbing a banister and hold his weight against it. His movements was getting sluggish as he swam through the hole he had kicked into. He was already taking off my jacket and prepared to dive in after him. The dull, multicolored lights of the chapel was oddly beautiful in the murky water. I cursed myself for having drowned a boy. But then I heard gasping and coughing, not from the vision, but from under the church's roof. It seemed there was still existed a pocket of stale air at the very top of the chapel. I sat back down to the rowboat and crossed my arm across myself. You wouldn't have even gone in. You would have rowed and ran away. You ain't relieved he's all right. You're just glad you don't have to do any work to put your own life on the line. I almost tore out more feathers to get myself to shut up. My concentration was shot, but I still tried to keep watch. The storm dunked his head back down under the water to look around. Once he had caught his breath. He did this a few times. I wonder if he thought the light was beautiful too. He took a deep breath before diving back down again. Near the door, he had broken broken through was the altar. A big wooden, ornately engraved cross hung behind the pulpit. Pulpit. Off to the side was a rotten old harmonium and a big cabinet. Waterlogged as it was, the locked cabinet was easy enough to pry open for Storm. As for the cross, he wrenched it off the wall. Storm returned for another breath of air. He really would have died, you know. He just happened to get lucky finding that air pocket. How many people does your family have to kill before you learn your lesson? Wasn't it enough for your Gramps to butcher the mythicals that lived here? Instead of backtracking, Storm swam back the aisles, and examined the church's main door. Although all that was keeping it closed was a rotten plank of wood, he pushed it aside like it was nothing. And there's the light. Isn't it beautiful? That's all you can do. Sit back and watch while the boy does your work for you. Had he died, would you at least have gone down to retrieve the pelt and the cross? I mean, let's face it, there's no doubt you'd have left his corpse behind. First, your scrawny ass would never be able to drag it back up, and second, you'd be ruined if anyone found out you were involved in this mess. Imagine explaining to the authorities you killed a kid while searching for some magic fucking hotel. It'd be best to leave him down there. No one would even miss him. Shut up. I just about jumped out of the boat when Storm resurfaced, bringing me back to my senses. Before I could say anything, he shouted, "A piece of cake!" It took him more than one shake to get his shaggy hair hair out of his eyes. He looked like Perseus brandishing the Gorgon's head. He pulled the pelt and the cross from the murky water, and in the moment, I knew we would find that damn hotel. Okay, I thought you had to I guess that's nice that you didn't have to do a bunch of other shit to dispel that. I was thinking way too hard about that, wasn't I? I don't know. Damn. We drove past the carcass of the crashed truck, turned on its side like a dead animal. The engine was spilling onto the ground just behind the bleached bones of a cow. The truck bed was half covered by a pile of salt. Some of it's still in rough cloth sacks. Yeah. Okay. Yellow butterflies were swarming on the road and all over the truck bed. Their wings thrown up to the skies and budging ever so slightly with the breeze. When I slowed the car down just enough to do a little rubber necking, I saw that some of them were bigger than my head. All of them were fighting for space around the salt. Were they eating it? Was that even possible? A Storm tapped his hooves, then looked to the darkened horizon on the right. The unending stretch where empty sky met a ravaged, vengeful earth.
Mind if I ask a question?
Shoot.
You said you were a cop, right? I'm just curious why you quit is all.
Because not even magic can save you from being made redundant these days. I allowed my saliva to stifle the cough that was stuck in my throat. Then I directed my eyes towards the orange brushstrokes on the horizon to my left. Pay wasn't good. The job was a drag. It didn't get along with my coworkers, and my boss was a prick. The usual.
Man, that's boring. With all your talk about how I shouldn't join the police, I was expecting a real story there.
That'd just use a They just use a big brash guy like you as their meat shield. You learn what being a butchered is really like. Sometimes life's just boring like that.
So what are you doing for a living now?
What's it look like? Nothing. Aside from wasting my time and money chasing a magical hotel that probably doesn't even exist. I'm between jobs, waiting to hear back from an offer, in fact. That's why I had the time to come out here. Much better than being back home, with my dad hounding me all day long about quitting.
He didn't like it.
He yelled so loud his neighbors called to complain. He likes to think law enforcement is our family business, you see. Always hated that my grandpa didn't stick with it. Called him a coward for spending his life chasing a fake hotel.
So, what do you want with it?
Excuse me?
You said something about an inheritance, I think. But you never told me what that meant. So, what are you looking for?
Everything they've denied us. All the high and mighty ideals people talk about and never follow up on. The fucking truth. Listen, kid. You know who I am. You know how I am. I've already kicked you down a few times when you started poking your nose in my business, haven't I? A Storm shrank into his seat and clenched his fists. I think I can turn back up the audio a bit. Yeah. Let's get copyright claimed. Well, this ain't one of those times. I'm not gonna give you a snarky response, and I'm also not gonna tell you to shut up. But here's the truth. I really don't like talking about this subject. It gets me in a bad mood like you wouldn't believe, and you should know by now it's best for the both of us if I keep my cool. Otherwise, I just end up being a cunt and saying shit you don't deserve to hear. So instead, I'll tell you the one thing I want you to keep in mind. Don't ask me those questions. Please understand, this time I'm putting it all on the table, real gentleman-like. Storm's gaze returned to the horizon.
It's alright, boss. Didn't mean to upset you. I understand it's personal. We'll find that damn hotel.
His voice came out clearer than any song I'd ever heard. Thanks, kid. Oh, that's sweet. No? Oh, okay. Around 5 a.m., when the clouds resembled rough, coarse brushstrokes, is the best moment to head outside with a cup of coffee and enjoy the crisp morning air. Birds chirp, 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 chirping. Maybe the smell of flowers if you can find a bench near a garden, or a wet grass scent should you find yourself among the untended, dilapidated homes. Yes. There won't be any mosquitoes or bothersome bugs around just yet. If you keep your eyes sharp, you might spot a hawk flying overhead, or a fox scurrying about near the road. The frogs, after the whole night spent croaking away, will have crawled beneath the wooden stairs to the house's foundation, or huddled together by the shady walls. And that's the only time of day the hinterlands can be considered beautiful, and on that particular morning, the birds chirping tempted me out nearly enough to witness the sunrise. Okay. I snuck out of the room, the door only letting out a hum when I closed it. I got some instant coffee at the reception and sat outside, drinking it from the mug, with Hail Mary written on it, which I'd borrowed the previous day. I thought about Grandpa. He and I used to watch the sunrise together when I was a kid, before I became a grumpy teen. I should have spent more time with him. The sunrise is so beautiful, and it happens every day, but I never bothered. I mean, I never see the sunrise. I'm asleep for it. It's fine. Or sometimes I see it right before I go to sleep, but that's me being a bad person. Should have called him more often, too. A thud from behind, followed by the clopping of hooves, interrupted my train of thought. I didn't have to look. Who else could it be? But did nothing. But did nevertheless. It dawned on me then how Storm's fur reflected the light. When the sun hit it in just the right way, it gave off flashes of light. He's a handsome lad, he is, albeit an overgrown child as well. He sat on the bench, huddling into himself, as we both watched the sky grow bright. I could see it in his eyes. He was no stranger to the sight.
Another goddamn day.
Yep. I sipped from my Hail Mary mug. Storm grunted and blurrily stared at the sunrise, as if he might photosynthesize some energy from it. Coffee's still shit.
At least you ain't drinking it from one of those that melty plastic cups.
Another sip, but this time I clicked my tongue and sighed after swallowing it. What can I say? This mug is glorious. Anything would taste at least half decent from it. Wonder if anyone will miss it. That got his attention. He stared at me like I'd just grown a second head, and it was belted on a full throat. And it was belting out a full-throated Ave Maria.
Didn't expect a cop to steal.
Oh, you sweet, naive, overgrown child. That's because I lied to you. I really am a soul-dealing devil. You just waiting for my chance to take an innocent like you back with me to hell.
Very funny.
The kid huffed and grunted and heaved himself to his hooves. He stumbled just slightly as he turned to make his way back to the room.
Won't be long before I'm ready to go.
12 minutes later, we were on the road to our next destination. Okay. I'll end the part. Memorial of the 12? Was that always there? What? Was I blind this whole time? Was that always there? Am I going insane? I'm going insane. Holy shit, that must have been there the whole time, right? I'll see you around, everyone.